Hello, Tigers. Week 5. We are getting so much better at this. So, I hope you guys are figuring out your systems. I want to give you, first and foremost, your check in question for the week. It is, what is the best book you have ever read? It could be a book that's been read to you. I've been reading books like I've been telling you to my granddaughters, and I am currently in love with the book by Jamie Lee Curtis called Is There a Human Race? But what's your favorite? All right, that's going to be your check-in book. Your check-in question for this week. All right. One of the things I want to bring to note, I appreciate those of you who took the responsible risk of trying to figure out that rights and responsibility graphic organizer. I thought it was a great metacognition tool, but I don't think that you guys thought so. Many of you did take a really good stab at it. And so what I did is I gave you points, and then I went back in and just made it extra credit points. So thank you for those of you who did. I want to point out just a couple of ones that I really enjoyed. One, somebody talked about the right being taken away to buy your turkey hunting license, and then thought that through. Why in the world would our governor deny you a turkey hunting license? So that was interesting. Many of you talked about the right to gather at church buildings being taken away and played with that. And then a number of you talked about the right to go to work or even to go to school, how that's been taken away, and then what's our responsibility in the long run. So those were some interesting things. But I want you to know I moved it from must do to those of you who did do it. You got some extra credit points. All right. This week, we're going to continue with our environmental lens. And so I have uploaded a couple of documents. Because of the rights and responsibilities graphic organizer, I wish I would have lectured on it first. I did learn Edge of Creations, or I'm in the process of learning Edge of Creations. And so I did upload on Friday my Edge of Creations, which was a little bit of introduction. You probably, hopefully, haven't watched it yet. It'll make a lot more sense when you get your documents, which is this week. And so please do. But I want to point out on my Edge of Creations intro, I misread a word. I said conservative when I needed to say conservationist. These are two radically different things, right? We spent last week taking a look at conservation and preservation, a little bit of restoration. And we may end up with restoration later in May. So I want you to know, do watch my Edge of Creations. Mostly, I'll tell you why here in just one second. Here's what you have in store for you this week. Humans and the Environment document. And I've uploaded it into Google Classroom. Hopefully, the paperwork that you have allows you to type into the document itself. You need to do pages 2 through 5, not the entire document. Right? You're going to want to read the intro, but don't worry about the decision-making activity. Just do pages 2 through 5. On 4 and 5, it asks you to consider the pros and cons of ecotourism. And like Lake Perry, although it is a flood reservoir, that's why it was built, it's an ecotourist kind of spot. Perhaps maybe we might even call the golf course, making direction points if you guys know where I live on the golf course, and ecotourism, right? How do we use ecology and create economies from that and still have a healthy environment? Ecotourism. All right, so I uploaded the pros and cons document, so you could click on it inside of the document, but there's also just one to make it super easy for you to be able to list the pros and the cons of ecotourism. So you're going to consider that first. That piece is worth 40 points. The big piece is doing a book jacket, but actually doing it in a Canva infograph form You guys did Canva infographics in Mrs. Roney's class, so it won't be totally new to you. Hopefully, though, I will create an Educreations on that because I'm learning too. I adore learning. What I read on the Educreations that I sent you is the back of this book. We're doing just a small excerpt from John McPhee's Encounters with the Archdruid. Brower is the Archdruid. David Brower, when you're reading. For most of you. Now, you AP, United States History kiddos, you have an entire chapter. But on level, you've got an excerpt from it. And I printed out the document so I could write on it. You could upload it into Notability. You could just use paper to take your notes, right? But you're going to do a book jacket rubric kind of idea in an infograph, in a Canva infograph. So you'll notice in Google Classroom, you've got the Canva website, but you also have the book jacket rubric so that you know exactly what it is that you need to be including. We did book jackets when we were together, and I loved them. And then I would hang them up on the wall, right? The last one you did was over America Reborn, and all of you did a different important and interesting person. So that's what we're going to try and do, but we're going to try and do it digitally. And the proud mama bear teacher in me, I love the paper copies. So I just want to offer it to you. If rather than doing a Canva infograph digital, you'd rather do a paper copy book jacket, would you come to my Tuesday Zoom and let's work out what that would look like? How is it that I can do a paper copy, Mrs. Wolfcutter? How would that work? And then how do I get it to you? Because you know I love paper copy. So we'll figure out a way to do that. So I've talked a long time, 7.5 minutes. If you got this far, I appreciate it. I want to make certain that I've covered all my list. Oh, making my top 3, all these strategies. I hope you guys are starting to use really good strategies. Remember, the number one goal of your American history class is that you take greater responsibility for your own learning. And you guys are really having to do that. And my job is, how do I get you to shine and make those good choices and learn those strategies? So remember to use your timer. Work hard while you're at work, right? Work works. But you got to stay focused and you've got to get away from distractions. One of the things I said in my Educreations, I have to use a hard copy dictionary. Yeah, it takes me longer to look it up manually than typing it into my phone or my iPad, but I am far less distracted. So if you find yourself, when you get on a digital device, being distracted, I highly recommend a dictionary. And hopefully you guys have them in your house. I know they're old school tool, but they're such a great tool. If you want to do a paper copy, come to the Tuesday Zoom and let's talk it out. There's a Zoom at 8:30 to 9:30 and another one at 12:30 to 1:30. You don't have to stay the whole time. Pop in, say, hey, give me your favorite book. Let's talk about the difference between a digital or a paper copy. My Zoom is sketchy, so I may drop you. You may drop me, right? But it's that opportunity to chat. All right. We are really learning all sorts of things, so don't get discouraged. Be strong and fearless, tigers. We are pressing on in really good ways. Stay home. Stay healthy. Stay tiger strong.